Chapter 8. The Imperishable Absolute. What is Adibhuta, Adhidavata, etc.? Arjuna said, Sri Krishna, please clarify as to what is Brahman, Karma, and Adhyatma. Also explain to me what is Adibhuta and Adhidaiva. I am not able to understand what Adhyayana is and what he is in the body. Also tell me how those who have attained control over the mind can know you at the time of their death. 8:1-5. Sri Krishna replied as follows. Brahman, that which, in spite of being contained in the porous body, does not leak out, that which is subtle but not non-existent, that which has been strained through the fabric of the sky, and which, though rare and thin, does not fall through the bag of the material world, is the ultimate Brahman, Parabrahman. 8:15-17. Adhyatma, the natural state of the principle of the Brahman, which takes form, but is not created, and even after losing it, is not destroyed, is called Adhyatma, or Supreme Soul. 8:18-19. Karma, from that formless Brahman, different elements like Mahat, Prakriti, ego, etc., are created, and the formation of the primeval egg, Brahmanda, begins. Because of the primeval thought, the primeval egg gives rise to countless life species. But though they appear different, the limitless Brahman only pervades in all of them. It is found that Brahman alone is the root of all these millions of species. One cannot find who created the world and why it was created, but its affairs go on. But the process of creation of this world continues growing. Thus, the action of creation without creator attributed to the Brahman is called karma. 8:21-29. Adibhuta. Now listen to what Adibhuta is. That which is formed from 1/5 part of each of the 5 principles, earth, water, air, fire, and sky or space. See note at the end of Chhb, and which can be sensed because of the 5 principles, but is destroyed as soon as it is separated from them, is called Adibhuta, or Supreme Spirit. 8:30-32. Adhidaivatadaivata is a living person. He enjoys whatever is created by Prakriti, nature. He is the eye of the consciousness, master of the organs, and one by whose association the thoughts, desires, etc., continue to live after the body dies. He is actually the ultimate self, but due to ego, he gets trapped in the struggle in life and experiences happiness, sorrow, etc. Ordinarily understood as living being, it may called Adhidavata, supreme being, of the body made of the 5 principles. 8:33-36. Adhyayana, principal sacrifice. One who extinguishes the I am the body feeling is the Adhyayana, principal sacrifice, in the body. Secondly, I am both Adhibhuta and Adhidavata. But just as pure gold mixed with impurity has to be called impure as long as it is associated with the impurity, this Adhibhuta, etc., as long as they are veiled by ignorance, must be considered different from the Supreme Brahman. Otherwise, they are not different. 8:37-41. When the I am the body feeling vanishes, the original unity with the Brahman becomes evident. Where this happens, that Adhyayana is me. 8:45. It was by keeping this in mind that I had told you earlier, Shvorth, that all yanas are created through actions. I am opening to you the wealth of liberation where all living things ultimately come to rest. Avoid sense pleasures by control of the senses with dispassionate attitude. Then attain knowledge by means of the yoga technique using Vajrasana, breath, and mind control. Once knowledge merges into the subject of knowledge, only the subject, that is Brahman, remains. That subject is called Adhyayana. 8:46-53. As I told you just now, those who know me as Adhyayana from beginning to the end consider the body to be a mere cover and dwell in the self. Such a person does not have awareness about external matters. He who thus becomes one with me from outside as well as inside, sheds the layers of the 5 principles from his body automatically. He who is not aware of his body even while living does not feel grief from death. A vessel immersed in water has water inside as well as outside. Does water break if the vessel breaks? Similarly, even if body gets destroyed, Brahman continues to be everywhere. And therefore, how can the intellect which has become one with it get destroyed? Therefore those who remember me at the time of death become one with me. 8:59-68. State after death. The normal rule is that after death a person attains that state which is in his mind at the time of death. He cannot avoid it. Just as one dreams of things which are constantly in the mind while awake, whatever one longs for in life comes to the mind at the time of death, and he attains that state. Therefore, make a habit of always remembering me. Consider that whatever you hear, think, see, speak, is me throughout. Then I am always with you. I assure you that if you offer your mind and intellect to me, then you will attain only me. If you any doubts about this, then experience it by practicing it. 8:69-80. Purify your conscious mind by this practice, and lead it to the spiritual path. If the mind which takes one here and there gets engrossed in the who cares or remembers whether the body exists or not, the mind merges with consciousness, which is solid bliss. 81-85. Attainment of Brahman by yoga with the knowledge that the faultless Brahman is formless and without birth and death, that it witnesses all, is older than the sky and subtler than the atom, that the affairs of the world go on by association with it, that it gives birth to all the visible world, that the world lives by it, that it is beyond logic and beyond imagination, that eyes cannot see it even in broad daylight, that, like a sunbeam, it always appears lustrous to men of knowledge, that it never sets. He, a person of self-realization, who concentrates on it with steady mind at the time of death, while outwardly, sitting in the lotus position facing north, with the eternal bliss gained by practicing desireless actions, karma yoga, with the love of self-realization and using the yogic technique, Manipur chakra near the navel, through the central nerve, i.e. the Sushumna root, to the Brahmarandra, or aperture on the crown, where the life force merges with the sky principle. The immobile mind and the life force appear outwardly to have merged. But because the mind has become stable and devotion steady, and with the strength of the yogic power, that life force eliminates the movable. And then the immovable enters the center of the eyebrows and vanishes there. Just as the sound of a bell vanishes in the bell itself, the devotee leaves his body and merges into pure Brahman, which is my lustrous form. 8:86-99. Akshar and Ksharit, the Brahman, has been called Akshar, i.e. immutable or indestructible, by knowers of the highest knowledge, which is the knowledge of the self. That which men of knowledge sense and measure by their senses is Kshar, or mutable. That which is impossible to know is Akshar. It is the same as the highest soul, and is above. 8:102, 102, 103. Only dispassionate persons who have given up sense pleasures by control of the senses attain that state which the desireless covet. 8:104-105. Concentrating on Aum at death time, Arjuna, make the mind steady in the heart by breaking the habit of the mind to wander. But this is possible only when the senses are controlled with determination. 8:111-113. After the mind becomes steady, one should meditate on Aum and bring the life force, prana, to the Brahmarandra. Then, by concentrating, it should be brought to the boundary of consciousness. Then when the A, U, and Ma merge in the half-syllable Ma, it should be made steady in the consciousness. The uttering of Aum then stops, and life force also dissolves in the consciousness. But the bliss that is Brahman remains. Aum is my monosyllable form. He who dies while meditating on it undoubtedly reaches me, and there is nothing more for him to be attained after that. 114 to 119. I am servant of devotees, Arjuna. You may perhaps doubt how one should remember me at the time of death, when the senses are under its shadow and the joy of living is lost. When the signs of death are evident, how one can sit up, control the senses, and how one can recite Om in that state of mind. Do not let such doubts trouble you. For one who serves me constantly, I become his servant at the time of his death. 120 to 123. Such persons give up sense pleasures, control their active life, and keeping me in the heart they experience the joy of the self, and thus worship me, by being constantly engrossed in me and close to me. Were I to come to my devotees only if they remember me at the time of their death, then of what use is their worship? Do I not rush to any person who prays for my help in their distress purely out of compassion? But if I were to wait until my devotees also to pray before I go to them, then who would like to be a devotee? I must rush to them the moment they remember me, otherwise I will not be able to bear the burden of their devotion. It is for this reason, that is to pay the debt of their devotion, that I go to the devotees to serve them at the time of death. In order that weakness of their bodies does not cause them distress, I keep them bound to the state of self-realization, make their mind calm and steady, and thus bring those dear ones to me. 124 to 134. The devotees also are not sorry to leave their body because they do not have attachment for it. Also, they do not feel that at the time of death I should come to them to take them to me, because they have already become one with me while they are still alive. 136 to 137. Those who have attained this infinite me are not reborn. 151. Even gods cannot avoid life cycles, on the other hand. Even Brahma, who is proud of his Brahmahood, cannot escape the life-death cycles. 152. Brahmadev's one day lasts for 1,000 sets of the 4 yugas, with a similar span for his night. See the note on reckoning of time at the end of the chapter. The fortunate persons who dwell in this loka, plane of Brahmadeva, do not return to earth but remain permanently in heaven. Ordinary deities are nothing compared with them. Even their king Indra does not have a lifespan of even 1 prahara, 3 hours, out of 1 day of Brahmaloka, the best of the 14 lokas. During the length of 1 day of Brahmaloka, 14 Indras come and go. 156 to 158. When the day dawns in Brahmaloka, the formless Brahman gives birth to the material universe. 160. After 4 praharas, Brahmadeva's night starts, and the expanse of the universe suddenly vanishes, and again starts as before at dawn. 161. Thus in 1 day and night of Brahmadeva, the universe is created and destroyed. The vastness of this Brahmaloka is such that the seed of this universe is contained in it, but even then it is caught in the cycle of life and death. 165 to 166. Brahman is my highest abode, thus the diversity of the universe is contained in the uniqueness of the unmanifestable. This property is called equality. 169. In this state of equality one cannot see similarity or dissimilarity, therefore the 5 elements are not manifested. Once the form dissolves, then the worldness of the world vanishes, but that from which the world is created remains as it was and is known by the natural name, unmanifestable. One is suggested from the other, but they are not 2 different things. 170 to 172. Both the manifestable and unmanifestable attributes occur in Brahman alone. But Brahman is neither manifestable nor unmanifestable. It is neither eternal nor destructible. It is beyond these 2 attributes and is axiomatic. 174 to 175. The name Akshar itself signifies its indestructibility. It is called the ultimate state, Paramagati. Since there is nothing beyond it. But it appears as if it is dormant in this body because it does not do actions nor cause them to be done. But in spite of this, no function of the body stops. 181 to 183. The affairs of the body, like the awareness of the intellect, transactions of the mind, plays of the organs and movement of the life force, continue nicely without its doing anything. 186 to 187 and 87. Since it, Akshar, dwells quietly in the body, it is known as Purusha, supreme being or soul. Since it is loyal to Prakriti also, it is called Purusha. 188 to 189. It is all-encompassing and is called by superior yogis as the supreme being beyond ego, Para-Atar. It comes searching for the true devotees and rewards them for their devotion. 190 to 191. It is the dwelling place of those who believe that the universe is the form of Brahman. It is the place of glory for the egoless, and knowledge to those beyond attributes, kingdom of happiness for the desireless, food served for the contented and protector, like a mother to those devotees who do not bother about worldly problems. The path of devotion is the direct approach to it. 92 to 195. There is no rebirth after self-realization. It is my highest abode. I am revealing this secret to you. 202 to 203. Auspicious death time for yogis. There is another way of understanding easily the abode where yogis go after leaving their body. If a yogi has to leave his body accidentally, then he has to take rebirth. If a yogi leaves his body at an auspicious time, then the yogi attains Brahman immediately. But if the time is improper, then he has to take rebirth. Union with Brahman and rebirth depend upon the time of death. Listen to what those times are. 204 to 207. At the moment of death, the 5 elements from which the body is formed leave it. When death is near, his intellect is not clouded. Memory does not become blind, and mind also does not die. On the other hand, because of the protection by the experience of the Brahman, all the organs remain bright, and this brightness lasts until death. But for this to happen, it is necessary that the fire principle, heat, is active in the body. 200 and 8 to 211. At the time of death, because of aggravation by the harmful airs, the body is filled by phlegm throughout, and the intensity of fire in it is destroyed. At such a time, there is no vigor in the life force. Then what can intellect do? Therefore, without fire, heat, the power of action, Chaitanya in the body does not survive, and the body is like a lump of mud. If a seeker dies under these conditions, then he spends the remaining time of his life in darkness. 213 to 215. In this state, how is it possible for him to remember his past spiritual progress at the time of death and attain self? Due to the extinguishing of the power of action in the mire of phlegm, he loses his memory, and his past spiritual achievements become ineffective prior to death. In short, the basic support for knowledge is the fire principle. Therefore, its strength must be plentiful at the time of death. 216 to 219. The factors favorable for yogis to leave the body in order to attain Brahman are internally the strength of the fire principle within the body, and externally the bright fortnights during the 6 months of the northward passage of the sun, Uttarayana, and daytime. See the note on reckoning off time at the end of the chapter. Knowers of Brahman who leave their body under these favorable conditions become the supreme Brahman themselves. Arjuna, this is the greatness of the path of yoga, which is the straightforward path to liberation. The first step in this path is the fire, heat, in the body. The second is the flame of the fire. The third is the time of the day. The fourth is the bright fortnight, and the fifth, and the last is the 6-month period of the northward passage of the sun. This is the best condition, and is called our Kiramar. 220 to 225. Inauspicious death time for yogis. Now I shall tell you about which are the inauspicious times for death. When death approaches, the wind and phlegm in the body get aggravated. Darkness spreads in the subtle mind. Organs become lethargic. Memory gets confused. Mind becomes disturbed. And life force feels constrained. The fire principle becomes inactive and consciousness of the body becomes engulfed in smoke. 225 to 228. He is neither dead nor in his senses because the life force is weakened. His body lies motionless, waiting for death. Thus the mind, intellect, and body get suffocated by the smoke, and all his efforts for liberation get wasted. 230 to 231. This internal state of the body together with the external conditions, dark fortnight, nighttime, and the months during the southward passage of the sun can only lead to rebirth. A yogi who dies under these conditions, because he is a yogi, goes to Chandraloka, moonplane, and is reborn after some time. 232 to 235. This is the smoky path to rebirth. 236. On the other hand, our Kara path is the best, easy, pleasant, and leads to liberation. 237. Better attain Brahman while living. I have told you about these two paths, which have been existing from ancient times, so that you can benefit from their knowledge. 238 to 239. If a person misses the Arkira path and falls in the trap of the smoky path, then he has to go through the painful stages of rebirth. I had to explain the two paths to you so that the pains of rebirth can be avoided. But whatever falls to his fate is his real path. 244 to 246. Who can tell which path a person will get? Why should there be any path at all to attain Brahman after death? Whether one is dead or alive, one is in reality Brahman only. 247 to 248. Those who attained Brahman while still in the body do not bother about the body or when it is going to die. Why do they have to bother about whether the path is good or bad? 251, 252. Therefore, Arjuna, be equipped with yoga so that you attain Brahman. Then it does not matter when and where you shed your body. The unification with Brahman will be eternal. 256 to 257. Merit inferior to Brahman. One cannot compare pure Brahman with the merit gained through study of Vedas, performance of yajnas, and by donations. 261, 262. When a great yogi compares the heavenly pleasures with the bliss of the Brahman, he finds the former to be inferior, compared with the latter. Then he steps up from the heavenly pleasures to the level of the Brahman. 266, 267. No unreckoning of time. 156 to 158. In the Indian system of reckoning time, following units are used. Source: Sulabha Jyotishashtra by K.V. Soman Shastri. Pub by Muj Prakashan, Mumbai. 4. Small timescales. 1 nimisha cake time taken for one blinking of the eye of a person whose mind is calm. 1 tatpar, aka 1, 30 nimisha. 1 shruti kai 1, 100, tatpar, dorti. 1 lagna, pao, 1000, truti. 1 kala, palan, kami mo. 1 kala, he stored nimisha tarkater. 1 kashta, 18, nimisha pornti. 1 kala, 30 kashta, medium, timescales. 1 gatika, 30 kala, 24 minutes, aka 60, palatat. Also 2.5 Vipalas 8:1 second. 1 day and night. Ikshiu 60. Gatika Prahar. A day and night consists of 8 prahars, 4 during the day and 4 during the night. But night is said to have only 3 prahars, since the half prahars after sunset and before sunrise are counted as daytime. 1 day CA, the time period from sunrise to sunset. 1 night 2 the time from sunset to sunrise. Auratra on a day on 1 night omeist. Time between successive sunrises. Note that in modern calendar, the day or date is deemed to start from midnight and not from sunrise. Paksha period of about a fortnight, from the end of new moon day, Amavasya, to end of full moon day or Purnima. This is Shukla or bright Paksha, and from the end of full moon day to the end of new moon day, Krishna or dark Paksha. Tithi is the most important indication of time for all socio-religious events in the Hindu world. The time taken by moon to advance 12 degrees farther from the sun constitutes 1 Tithi. Sun and moon are at the same place in the sky on Amavasya night, the night before new moon day. The moon travels faster in the sky and again joins the sun a month later. Since moon has to travel 360 degrees of the celestial route every lunar month, there are 30 spans of 12 degrees, and therefore 30 tithis in a lunar month, 15 in each paksha. These are named as Pratipada, first, Dvitiya, second, up to Chaturdashi, 14th, in each of the bright and dark pakshas. The 15th Tithi is either Purnima, with night of full moon, or Amavasya, night of no moon. Tithi may change any time during the day or night, but whichever is present at the time of sunrise is taken as Tithi of the day. Due to the changes in the rates of motion of the sun and the moon, sometimes the 12-degree span corresponding to a given Tithi is covered in between the successive sunrises. In such a case, corresponding Tithi lapses. For example, let us say that on Monday the Tithi at sunrise was 3rd. But Tithi changed to 4th, just after sunrise, and again to 5th, just before the sunrise of Tuesday. Thus, Tuesday Tithi will be 5th, 4th having lapsed. On the other hand, if on any day the Tithi does not change before the next sunrise, then the same Tithi will continue the next day. Long time scales. 1 lunar month, Augwe 2, Pakshas. It is the time lapsed between the 2 successive new moon days. First day, Pratipada, of the month, starts on the day next to the new moon day, and the last day is on the next new moon day. A lunar month is 53 days long. There are 12 months in a year: Chaitra, Vaishakha, Jeshta, Ashada, Shravana, Bhadrapada, Ashwin, Kartik, Margashirsha, Pusha, Magha, Falguna. 1 lunar year 12 lunar months, or 360 titis, but actually 350 days, since many tithis lapse. There is an additional leap month every 3rd year, and a lapsed month every 141st year. This brings the lunar year numbering in phase with the solar years. Thus every 3rd year has 13 months. Each year has a name, one of a list of 60, which are repeated. There are 2 main eras used in India: Shalavahan Shaka, or era, and Vikramasambha. Shalavahan Shaka started 78 years after the Christian era, the year starting in Chaitra. Vikramasambha started 57 years earlier to the Christian era, the year starting in Kartik. Yudhishthira, the eldest of the Pandavas, also started an era, but it is not used anymore. Nakshatra. The zodiac is divided into 27 parts, each named after a star constellation, or nakshatra. A reference to time is often given by the sun's position in a particular nakshatra. The 27 nakshatras are Ashwini, Bharani, Kritika, Rohini, Meghashirsha, Ardra, Punavasu, Pushya, Ashlesha, Magha, Purva, Falguni, Uttara, Falguni, Uttara, Falguni, Asta, Chitra, Swati, Vishakha, Swati, Vishak, Revati. Sun remains in each nakshatra for about 13.5 days, while moon stays for about a day in each nakshatra each month. Solar year is taken as the time the sun takes to travel from the beginning of the Ashwini nakshatra, which is in the Aries zodiac sign, to the time it returns to it. However, during Sri Krishna's time, the year started in Margashirsha, in December. Uttarayana and Dakshinayana. These mean the northward and southward passage of the sun, respectively. Due to the inclination, if Earth's axis of rotation to the plane of its orbit round the sun, the place where it rises shifts every day. On December 21st, it is in the southernmost position and starts shifting northwards. The Uttarayana starts on December 21st. It reaches the northernmost position 6 months later, on June 21st, when the southward journey, or Dakshinayana, starts. Yogis consider Uttarayana period as auspicious for leaving their body. Imaginary long-term time scales of Puranas. The Puranas give certain long-term time scales which are widely believed in the Hindu world, but have no scientific basis and do not stand up to scientific facts. These are Deva Day, 1 full day of the Devas, gods, and Asuras, demons, is made up of 1 solar year. The Uttarayana period is considered as the daytime of the Deva and nighttime of the Asuras, and vice versa for Dakshinayana. These are probably the memories of the days when Aryans lived in the Arctic region. Asuras were also Aryans, but due to enmity between Deva Aryans and Asura Aryans, their day and night seems to have been phased oppositely. Yuga. There are 4 yugas, viz. Krita, or Satya, Treta, Dwapa, and Kali, with supposedly decreasing moral standards. These are respectively 432 and 1 times 432,000 years in length, i.e. 1,728,000, 1,296,000, 864,400, and 32,000 years respectively. 1 Mahayuga, the length of the 4 yugas, was 4,320,000 years. Manvantar, period after which the reigning Manu, the legendary chief of mankind, changes to another Manu. There are 14 manas stated in the Puranas, consists of 71 Mahayugas, 306,720,000 solar years. In between 2 Manvantars there is an intervening period equal to the length of Krita Yuga, during which there occurs the deluge. Names of the 14 manas are given later. 1 Kalpa, 14 Manvantars, plus 14 intervening periods, plus a 15th period of same length in the beginning of the Kalpa. Total length of a Kalpa in terms of solar years is 4,294,080,000 U 25,920,000 Chi 4,320,000,000 or 1,000 Mahayugas. Brahmadeo's day Q1 Kalpa, or 1,000 Mahayugas, during which material world is created and destroyed in the end. This is followed by Brahmadeo's night of equal length, i.e. Brahmadeo's day-night consists of 8,640,000,000 solar years. Brahmadeo's lifespan consists of 100 years, each year being of 360 day-nights. Names of the manas: 1 Swayambhuva, 2 Swarachisha, 3 Atama, 4 Tamo, 5 Ravata, 6 Chakshusha, 7 Vaivaswat, 8 Savarni, 9 Dakska Savarni, 10 Brahma Savarni, 12 Rudra Savarni, 12 Rudra Savarni, 13 Ruchi, 14 Bhuti. Currently we are supposed to be in the reign of Vaivaswat Manu, and out of his reign 27 Mahayugas have already elapsed. We are in the Kali Yuga of the 28th Mahayuga. According to Surya Siddhanta, current Kali Yuga is supposed to have started on 17 February of 3102 BC. It is supposed to have started on the day Shri Krishna died. This was 36 years after the Mahabharata War. However, historical studies supported by scientific data put the war to have occurred in about 1011 BC. We can compare these numbers with what is known from scientific studies. Parameter Purana Science Age of the Universe 1. 973x 190 approx 14x 109 Age of the Earth, not known 4.6 xe 109. Ration of life, not known 3.8 IV, exa 1, 109 YT. 2. Ivex 109 way ago. Creation of man, not known hominid 5 exo 106 y ago. Modern man 30. 0 yago. But Brahmadeo is supposed to have created them in short span of time. The term Vishwa is used both for the universe and earth in Puranas, therefore there is a confusion about the context.